DINtv. Welfare updates and DINtv technology.
Hello, hello.
They stop. Yeah. Okay. Maybe. Okay. Yes, yes. Let's keep like this, maybe. Who knows? Okay, YouTube is live, I see. Okay, fine. Startup, US. Let's just use startup because he's it's not going to be a lot of okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. So.
Girl, do you want a water to sit over there?
Yes, please. Mm-hmm. Thank you. So 8 2 no 10 they stuck. Okay. Okay, Pedro responded to me. I texted to VM. Let's see what she responds. Okay.
Four videos on your.
Cool. Tell them.
Should we not like restart it? Just leave it.
No, it's the same topic, you see. So, guys, we're going to discuss about expansion.
Hi everyone, I'm Blab. Thank you so much for
Yes.
joining us. I have my co-host here, Karel, and we're going to be covering the UK Overseas Conference. So we're excited to be hearing from everyone over
How
there.
startups can break into US market because there is obvious differences between some legislation, business style, and a lot of things between UK and the US. So
Yeah, a lot of business jargon. So it's going to be exciting day today.
okay. Okay, so okay. So I rewrote topic. If we get more people, I can read off this user in live. Let's have it like running for
I'm
now.
pulling up Meerkat on my phone.
Mm-hmm. Let's have it running. Okay, what else? Okay, and bam. Okay, I'm logging in as a nectar actually. I need to log in as me, otherwise. So it's here. So, yes, look the page. Again. Kevin, you also need to log in. Don't forget it. Okay. Okay. This is good. This is good. What else? I can do 8 to 10, so she can do. Okay.
I think it's better if, yeah, if she's there, because then I could just be a user if anything goes wrong or anything. This is it. Okay, I'm logged in. Info. So why aren't you pulling?
Okay. Okay. Some user already here. I see.
Hello, Veronica. Thank you so much for joining us on DINtv. How are you today?
Veronica, we are not hearing you. Please check your.
No, just checking if that was us. No, it's her.
Wasn't.
And this is for the startup
Yes,
extraction.
yes. Now sound
Perfect.
started to come in. Yes.
Hi, thank you so much for joining us. How's your day going so far?
Very well. I mean, it's late in the day for us here. I'm calling from London. Just,
Oh,
It's
nice.
it's already night.
it's already dark. I can see 12:51 your time.
Yes,
ma'am.
yes. Tell me please, how many people we expect?
I think there's about 36 signed
Okay.
for this webinar.
So as you can see here in the forum queue, we can fit up to 10. So others will stay and wait in the queue. There is the black strip on the bottom of the interface. There
So,
is
what do you mean? So there are only 10 people can be live.
10 people can converse live in real time with video and sound. Other 100 people can stay in the waiting queue and chat, send their emoticons, so emoji just reflect their like reaction on some statements, and we will rotate the participants. So if, for instance, you see someone in the waiting queue in this red black strip line that is empty for now, but will be fill it out, of course. If you see someone whom you need to bring into the forum right now, just tell us. We will do this because we have these tools and features on our interface.
Okay, because
So we will assist you in Brian in managing this thing. So you will be displayed like this on the left top corner, and then Brian will speak. It will be the same for him.
Okay, I think actually I'm kind of just a participant. Brian is the main organizer, so I think he should be the one leading
Okay, sure.
the seminar, and yeah, he's bringing some guests, I believe, as well. So I don't know if they're going to be there with you or they're logging in like I've just done.
Yeah, we seen Brian just 10 minutes ago. He logged out, but he will come back, of course.
He will log, okay. I guess I would prefer like that my place is given to one of the participants to be in the live chat. I mean, maybe at the beginning I can just say welcome to everybody for joining.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's really for Brian I let him lead the session the way he wants to do it.
Excellent. Of course.
Really?
Of course.
So yeah,
Okay, so we're here to assist you both. To Brian. So what we can do, we can remove any participant who, for instance, is not important right now. By the end of the queue, we can bring in anyone who maybe is required to be in. We can mute someone and give the opportunity to speak to another one. So we can orchestrate all these flows of information.
Hello, Jason. Thank you so much for joining us. Let me go ahead and activate you real quick.
It should be automatically, Kevin. Just wait. Because
so does that mean if there are more than 10 people, because there's 36 who've signed for this webinar, so if there's more than 10, there will be 36 logging in, hopefully.
they will
10
all,
will be live on, whereas
Yes.
the other 20 will be more on a mute.
then we will see and we can speak with them in real time.
Okay.
With others, they will see us the same thing, but they cannot interact with us in the back.
Like I'm doing now.
Yes, as we doing right now. So they can only chat. They can post in the chat something that they have to say. For instance, I have a question, I have a proposal, I have a suggestion, whatever. And based on the reaction of Brian, we can bring them in or we can point it out. Like this.
You'll be able to visually see them by their avatars on the black.
We can highlight if something posted something in the forum. We can highlight this, and it will be that question or suggestion will be visible for everyone.
Looks like Brian's in right now.
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
Just bear with me a second.
Yeah.
I'm going
Brian
offline for a
is
second.
in. Yes, sure.
Put that towel. There.
Goodness, like the layer is literally going to.
Oh, why? Too much light? I don't look at that.
No?
Never look at that.
I'm not looking directly into the light.
You see, you cannot avoid it. If you work on the scene like theater scene, real theater, not fake cinema theater, but real theater. It's always hitting in your eyes. In your work in TV studio, it's the same thing. You cannot avoid it. It may be a bit softer, I think. No, it's okay, Kevin. Just, the thing is to make it, to feel it light. Hi, people on Blab as well. If you would like to join us, or you send us some message or whatever, and we have
Make sure you can view us on DINtv.com. We'll get a more.
Periscope and Meerkat as well. Yes.
Yes, Meerkat and Periscope. You guys will be able to view us on DINtv.com more seamlessly. So come and check us out.
Yes.
Great. So we have a couple people coming in. We have Dustin and Welsh. Thank you so much for joining us today.
I got this one going now. Did you need this one? Did you need? You have it connected there, right? Yeah, you're on. And you're showing this Justin, right? Yeah.
Oh, so it's not like a thing like last time. It's not like the investor festival thing. This is more like smaller.
More likely
intimate.
like a rotation we did before.
Oh, okay.
So Brian, the key speaker,
Mm-hmm.
and others the ones in order to get some.
Good morning. Oh,
Him.
Morning.
Morning, good morning.
Okay, let me
Bye.
kill
I'm
I'm
gonna
so
start.
Brian, you're not quite looking like yourself.
in life. Oh,
There we go. Brian's going through an identity crisis right now.
yeah, we decided, because Nectar's that handsome, we're handsome Brian.
Ready?
Ah, you're so nice.
Dollar?
you hiding? Where are you hiding?
Can you see me?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can see
Yeah.
you
And
and
we see
see.
all of
As
this.
Justin Guy. You're Justin Guy?
Correct. Justin Dye and Brian McMahon are the same person.
The same.
Yeah, you never done scratches before, have
We're going to start in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
1 minute.
you? Ever seen-
Do you have a way to see who's out of the 36 people have logged in already?
It's playing on.
Yes. We're able to see as of right now. It's just the people that you
You
visually
can
see.
read the names. Oh, 2 more coming.
2 more right now. We have Rory, Ollie, Dustin, Jason, Swash.
Okay, let me kill Dean Life for the
I see
moment.
Ollie Potter.
Okay.
Hello, Ollie. Hello.
Ironic, hello.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, you did it.
Nectar, you did it?
Yes, I'm
Nectar,
waiting. Ollie, you the
did you
first?
kill Dean Life?
I'm the first.
So,
Let's coordinate, okay? Otherwise, we can just create some mess.
No problem, thanks, Jason.
If it's digital, I'm on time, Ronick.
you are. Thank you.
Okay. It is 10 o'clock in the morning. Can everybody hear me okay?
I know, right?
Crystal.
Yes.
Why do we live in Southern California if it's cold?
Perfect. Who do we have on so far? So we've got, I see Ollie over there, obviously, Rani, excellent. Ken is on. Should we wait a little bit for a few more users to come on?
Yes, we have Quen trying to come on too, so let's just give them a couple minutes.
Hi,
Okay.
Queen. Thank you for joining.
Hi all. I've been here for a while.
Oh, okay.
I just haven't been. I think there might be if you can't see names of people who aren't who kind of aren't there, then to be honest, I think a bunch of people might just be there without having logged in or with their microphone on.
Okay.
Yeah, that could be an option. And as I say, Brian, I'm happy to be removed from the live stream to allow someone else to join my place because I know there's only 10 people at any one time.
Yeah. You're,
I've also turned my
Let's
camera
maybe
off.
explain how it works just for everyone and who will be staying in the queue. So the currently forum can fill up to 10 concurrent participants. Other people who will be staying in the queue, you see below your broadcasting windows, you see the avatars. So those people will see and hear us. They can chat in the forum, in the chat, they can post any messages they would like to ask, notes, questions, remarks, whatever.
Mhm.
And also, if the moderator, for now, moderator is Brian, we just assistant to him.
Mhm.
So if moderator Brian or Veronica, you will tell us that we need to bring someone from that waiting queue into the forum. We will take out some person and we will replace by that another person. So we can orchestrate any participants up and forth, back and forth. So tell us.
this is
Hi, Roy.
This is the most perfect conference platform in the world, and it's why we wanted to bring you all onto it, rather than having some kind of unemotional webinar where you just listen to everybody talk.
Why not? Why not?
Let's give it a few more minutes. Veronique, would you like to give it a few more minutes for a few more people to come on?
Yeah, and then we can launch officially the
Got it.
webinar. Thank you.
Absolutely got it.
Thank you for doing you already join us. I can't see everybody, but I know some of you are here offline, so thank you.
Hey, and look, while we're waiting, why doesn't, if anybody has any burning desires that they want to get out of this call, we've got a pretty specific agenda that we're going to run through, which will hopefully give you info. But as soon as you're on nice and on time, if you've got questions, just type them in there.
So actually, I'm going to do it out here. It's fine. Just don't make a lot of noise. And plus, I'm going to be on mute for the next half hour.
Okay.
I'm so confused.
Yeah, guys, very important that you need to have some headphones, earphones, and avoid the ground noise that can just interfere with your built-in microphone or some microphone that you have.
Yeah.
Queen, Rory, Ollie, do you have any question you want to?
Brian, can we turn off the Twitter bot?
Hello, Anna. You can check us out on DINtv.com. Just come to the link that I'm about to post so you can view the stream live.
Brian, can you hear me?
I hear you perfectly, McKenna.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Can there be some comments when people are asking questions? Because it's pulling from so many Twitter things.
Oh, Peter. Okay.
This is a very cool platform. Glad you like it, Peter.
Brian, has this link conference webinar been advertised to other people within your community?
No, we've kept it very specifically for your community. I wanted to make sure there'll be, for example, McKenna's a specialist on venture capitalism. Jason there is specialist within marketing. We also have Jennifer here as a specialist within immigration for businesses, which it's really funny. You know, I love Jennifer to death and her services are the most valuable in the whole world, but it's only when we get onto an international call that she's the most popular person in the room. Right? Nobody cares. Well, no, I mean, she's looking at me saying, really? Kind of, because everybody here, I'm not saying you all want to live in the US. I'm just saying it's sunnier here and there's more money and it's a little bit easier. So she normally gets a bunch of questions. So yeah, we just have our specialists on and I left the platform for you so we could make sure we got through all of the questions that anybody in the UK has.
Great. So Brian, I'll let you lead this webinar so you decide when you want to kick off.
Yeah, look, let's kick off now, and then people can join us as they come in. Okay, so I'm gonna spend as little time on this as I possibly can. I want to because I want to pass it over to our specialist to talk, but let me give you a quick intro, and let me tell you how you're going to get the most out of this. My name, first of all, is Brian McMahon. I'm the owner and founder of a company called Expert Dojo, and we're a specialist accelerator here in Santa Monica. So we work with normally startup to stage companies. We bring them into our platform, we work with them, and we work pretty hard to help them become successful. This is not about our accelerator per se, and this is not an application or anything for anyone to try and come in. This is entirely for you to try and work out what it is you need to do to break into the US. Some of you may have been involved in the US before, some of you may not, but I wanted to bring some of the finest experts that we have within the network onto the call so that they could actually help answer a bunch of the questions that you have. So if I give you the agenda first, I want everybody to, I'm just watching the posters are coming through as well. I want everybody to just keep on feeding through the questions that you want to answer, the specific areas that you need involved. If we finish on the talks a little bit early and we finish on the questions and answers, we can really go specific on your company. I've allocated until 11:30 this morning our time for this, which is 90 minutes. So you're going to get a bunch of love and help. Now, the areas that we're going to specialize in, yeah, Kirill, I think, yeah. Kirill, you might just want to mute yourself. I'm sorry. But yeah, so for everybody here, if you look on the list, you'll see there's a chap called Jason Fishman there. And Jason Fishman is one of the preeminent marketing specialists over here in Southern California. He specializes really deeply in influencer marketing. And I wanted you to get a feel as to what marketing is like over here as compared to what it's like over in the UK. So he's going to talk about 10 minutes around that. He may be partnered with Ledoux. I hope Ledoux can join us as well. Ledoux focuses in a slightly different area of marketing, but he'll give 10 minutes as well if he can too. We're then going to be followed really quickly after that with information from Nectar. You're going to give us some love on website development over here, how that works, and really when you're developing for a US audience, which is a couple of 100 million people, how is that different from developing for a UK audience? Again, quick 10-minute talk on that. Jennifer is then going to come in and talk about immigration. What do you need? What kind of visas are relevant to you? What gives you a better chance of being able to get the right visa for the right environment? Again, she'll go on for about 10, 15 minutes. And then another treat is going to be McKenna after that. And McKenna worked up in Tim Draper. And I don't know how many of you know Tim Draper, but one of the preeminent venture capitalists in Silicon Valley. Helped run the Draper University, which is the big university up there as far as getting early stage companies moving and successful in what they do. So pretty much we got it all covered, I think. My specialization is in business development. So how does a company get up off the ground? How do you get moving? How do you use, I see, is Ledoux, is that you? Ledoux is there. Okay, Ledoux, the only thing you just want to do, I can't see if you've got headphones in, but if you don't have headphones in, just throw some headphones in. You're on mute otherwise. So listen, you keep playing with that, that's okay. So look, anybody as you're going through, just keep on hitting us with the questions and we'll take them as we go. So, Kirill, could you please take Jason out of the bottom of the queue and make him star user? And Jason's going to give us about 10 minutes of what does it take to be successful within marketing over here? And on a greater level, what does it take to be successful on
just a little alpha face.
What I do with Ronan.
Ani, we can hear you. She can go.
Oh, sorry. Hey, Kirill. Nectar, are you working that just to bring Jason up?
Jason is here.
Jason's up.
Jason is here already.
Okay.
Thanks for the introduction, Brian.
You
So
got it.
yeah, I oversee digital strategy for an agency here out of Santa Monica called DNA. We work with businesses of all sizes. I personally have a background in mobile and tablet advertising, work with top 100 advertisers, but have the opportunity to work with startups here in Silicon Beach, and really enjoy working with stages of that size. We, start up the marketing plan, marketing strategy. So for any company looking to do a US launch, for anyone looking to do a new digital push, let alone initial digital push, we, start with the competitor audit. I'd recommend for every brand to do a thorough analysis constantly, on a set schedule of what every other brand in their vertical and similar verticals that their target market engages with online is doing online. So starting with competitor audit, moving to a target audience, target market, research profiles, and really understanding where are your target audience online. What are their touch points? What are other brands doing to engage them? What type of content are they putting out that's generating the most social shares, the most engagements, the most influencer and high authority publisher coverage? And looking at each one of those marketing channels, understanding how you want to have your brand present on those platforms, whether that's a paid approach with advertising. There's all different types of great display, video, native, article-based advertising inventory available each one of these locations. So it's just an understanding of how you want to engage them. We recommend putting together, a content calendar as part of this marketing strategy. So every day of, the quarter, every day of the month, this is what content's going out. These are the channels that it'll be going out on. Let's say it's Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram. On Mondays, we're doing an email newsletter. Once a month, we're doing a webinar. This infographic is going to be posted by these publishers on these days. I'm going to get into influencers a bit. These influencers are posting on these days. Influencers tend to take a lot of management in terms of making sure they post on a set schedule, so definitely emphasize that as part of the content calendar. And then having an understanding of your advertising, of your content distribution, budgets and looking how are we making the most of this. How can we get this video seen by an additional 10,000 people, by an additional 100,000 people? And, as you're looking across this content calendar, there's a few channels specifically that I like to emphasize with brands. And, content marketing, as we're touching on with the content calendar here, digital advertising, and I'd recommend that across, learning my camera here, across search, social, display across different websites and mobile web and in-app inventory, video, and then adding native. Native advertising is sponsored content. You can run it across major sites and apps in your vertical. You buy it on a cost per click. It performs great. So having advertising across all those channels. With advertising, I emphasize looking at your prospecting and what data you're using to prospect, and remarketing, and how big you could build a remarketing list. For those of you that don't know, remarketing, it's when you go to a website and you see that ad following you around for the next week, the next couple weeks. It can be annoying if done wrong, if done too aggressively, but it's highly effective. As a rule of thumb, it's going to outperform all prospecting advertising when done right. It's what traditional advertisers used to seek out decades back, where you'd reach a user in the morning with their newspaper, on the way to work on the radio, at home with a television broadcast ad. That can be done now with remarketing fairly easily. And you'll see, as a rule of thumb, again, a higher click-through rate and a higher conversion rate from all remarketing ads. So whether you're doing that on Facebook, whether you're doing it on banners across the site, the more traffic you can get to your site to get tagged for remarketing ads, the bigger email list that you could upload into one of these platforms to serve ads just to that email list, the bigger your remarketing pool, the more effective your advertising is going to be. You'll be able to test out, different creative, different messaging, do your A/B tests on remarketing as well. But generally, I like to really emphasize that, particularly with startup businesses. Remarketing can be much more cost efficient. It can be much cheaper to buy remarketing ads if you don't have a huge audience. So highly recommend that. We search for so much stuff online. It's so easy to forget about half the things we see online. So if we see that continued brand awareness from the remarketing ads, it really works well. And then I want to touch on influencer marketing. So you have your content marketing funnel, you have content going on your site, on your social media pages. You're powering more traffic to that content with advertising. You're seeing performance of your e-commerce on your e-commerce platforms, or you're seeing performance on your lead pages or your app store points of download, and you're funneling more traffic in with the advertising. Another way to do this, and with a more organic feel, is influencer marketing. I would define an influencer as someone with a large, more importantly, engaged social audience. At our agency, we generally build programs of 60,000 of influencers with 60,000 to about 2 million followers. They generally have rate cards that make a lot of sense. Lower cost, high volume. Again, what we're really looking for above just the audience size is the engagement, the loyalty they're receiving from their followers, and building a schedule. Our programs start with a minimum of 10 influencers, but many brands do, multiple influencers per day. We find Instagram to be a highly effective platform right now. Twitter is also a great platform to do it. Pinterest is a great platform to do it. There's some niche influencers for Vine. Snapchat is really emerging with some strong influencers. Definitely some obstacles there. Facebook has some obstacles for influencers. Blogging will always be a popular channel to do this. But if you can get someone with a loyal, engaged audience, someone who seems relatable. Oftentimes people think celebrities, but we'll see, some influencers with like 1 million, 2 million followers get more of a response for, let's say, a theatrical film, promoting a theatrical film, than the actual stars in the movie. And that's because that audience is following them for a reason. They're looking at them as thought leaders in the space and expertise, and will respond, will engage, and will share at a higher level than someone that they know of and they press the like button. So using that voice, whether it's for generating e-commerce sales, for user acquisition of a mobile app or SaaS platform, for lead generation, whatever it may be, we see highly effective with influencer marketing. And of course, you're building your remarketing pool so you can continue reaching that audience with remarketing ads and just be very powerful in your vertical.
I like it. Hey, Jason.
Yeah.
Tell us, from your perspective, for a company coming in from the UK, what would you recommend if they had, let's say they had 20 grand, like just a tiny amount of money, and they were going to invest it into marketing over here? Where would you push them?
Sure. You know, you'd want to start testing out all of the viable channels. So looking at your marketing plan, having a good content rollout, leveraging some strong influencers for your space, testing out some strong keywords on the search side, some strong ad groups on the social ad side. I definitely emphasize social ads, doing display remarketing, and looking to build engagement from the target audiences. There's some great growth hacking tools out there, being able to grow your social audience and feed them some content that is interactive. Maybe a social contest. There's some excellent tools out there for social contests right now that capture data and really stimulate social sharing. So having that type of launch, great for PR as well when you're doing a PR blast around that. But I would have smaller budgets spread across, to summarize, influencer marketing, multi-channel advertising, some social media add-ons such as some of the tools, and then doing a PR approach to start building those relationships and then hopefully get some coverage in that initial, rollout, that initial launch campaign.
Okay, yeah, that's good. So really what you're saying is like you spread it in a wide area. I know definitely from a lot of what I see you doing, you're really encouraging clients to start reaching out to social, to certainly influencers over here because their reach is so incredibly powerful. And then
Absolutely.
Following that by making sure there's just a widespread and everything else and measuring it. Okay, brilliant. Hey, listen,
Absolutely.
so look, as people have got questions for Jason, firstly, Jason, can you give your email address or your website so that people can contact you afterwards?
Just post it, please, in the chat, and we will highlight it.
Much better. Much better. Yeah, post it there in the chat. And then anybody after this call, what we wanted to do in this call was just like hit through as many areas as we can on the marketing, on the business development, on the legal, and then also on the funding, so you can walk away with it. But I also want to make sure that you can reach out to people direct if you've got any individual questions on things. So yes, there you go. Jay Fishman at digitalnicheagency.com. Just reach out to Jason if you've got any questions on that. And otherwise, that's marketing over here. I've been out of the UK for a little while, so my marketing prowess is not the same. What I do know is if you get really good loyalty here locally and good traction, then you build up an absolutely massive audience and then you keep those audiences. It's incredibly, incredibly important is the authenticity of your message and the loyalty of your audience. Hey, listen, Jason, you can hang around for like 10 or 15 minutes if you like, and then you're very welcome to jump, and we really appreciate you joining. Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
Good. Now, I want to bring Jennifer up. Jennifer, this is one of the preeminent attorneys over here as far as immigration is concerned. What I love Jennifer is not just the fact that she's an immigration attorney, not just the fact that she's a specialist within business, so she really understands the business, but also the fact that she really works within the early startup sector. So it's very easy for an attorney here to move into the late stage areas because obviously that's where all the money is. So when I see people really staying within the area where it really matters, obviously it means a lot. So Jennifer, the floor is yours. Please just take us on the journey of a company, and if they're looking to move from the UK and they're looking to come over here, what are the different options they have? How would it work? What would they do? And are there any, and not just the direct ways in, but also are there any backdoors that you know of that can help with people? And you've got 20 minutes, so go through it. And if we find that people are really engaged, we can jump a little bit over that as well.
Okay, great. Well, hi everyone. I'm Jennifer Grady. I am a startup immigration attorney here in Los Angeles, and I like to work with entrepreneurs from around the world and to help them come here to the US. We do their business entity setup and all of the immigration work as well. So first of all, I would like to go through all of the immigration options in order of what's going to be easiest in terms of your investment of time and money, and then what's going to be a little bit more complicated, but what will offer you a longer term solution. So the first thing that we can talk about is the diversity visa lottery, and that's something that takes place annually, and it's open during the month of October. You would start October 1st, and this year you could apply through November 3rd, and that's something that you can do online. It's free. You can do it every year, and that is for the chance to have a green card. So that's going to depend on what country you're from. Usually UK is on that list, and you can just do that application and see if you can get a green card. So that's something I put out there. You can do that at any time, even if you're applying for another visa. So that's an easy option, but again, it's a lottery, so it's not a guarantee. The next option, if you are thinking about whether you want to come to the U.S. and you want to come and meet with people, sign contracts, and get started, would be a tourist visa or a visitor visa. And you can apply for that from your home country, and that can be good for stays of up to 6 months, and it can last for 10 years. And then also, if you are from England, there's also the visa waiver, and that is for 90 days, and you can come to the country. You just show up. You don't have to apply for it. But the downside is that if you were to stay in the U.S. and you wanted to get a different type of visa, then you can't adjust status from there without going back to your home country, unless you're going to adjust status based on marriage. So the next one I'd like to talk about is based on employment. So if you were to come to the U.S. and you had an employer sponsor, you may have heard of the H-1B visa. And that one is most desirable because it can lead to a green card, and you can have it for 3 years with 6-year renewal period. The downside of that is that it does have, it's very competitive. So last year we had about 277,000 people apply for about 85,000 spots. So it's about a 27% chance that you can get that visa. So that one we are actually working on right now. The application date is April 1st. So if this is something that you're interested in, I highly recommend you contact an attorney now and get that application going, especially if you went to a school in England or another country. You'd have to make sure that you have the equivalency approval. You have to have an outside party show that your degree is equivalent to a U.S. bachelor's degree. So we would need documentation from the employer and from you, and takes a few weeks to put together, and then we apply on April 1st. And the soonest you'd be able to work would be October of 2016. So the important thing to note there is that you would need a bachelor's degree or its equivalent. And then if you do have a master's, there's another 20,000 visas available for that category. And your degree has to match the type of job. So usually these are for STEM jobs like science, math, technology, but we have been successful with other creative types of jobs, like even working in the wine industry.
Sorry, guys, don't forget to put any questions in the feed right now, and we can highlight them and others to the Jennifer later.
Okay, thank you. Yes, yeah. You can always ask me questions right now, or you can email me later after the talk. Okay. Then the next visa would be if you already have a business in your home country and it's been around for 3 years, and you want to come and set up a branch in the U.S., we would do what's called the L1 visa, intercompany transfer visa. So that's where you would send somebody to the U.S. to open up an office here, and some of the benefits here are that there is no cap, there is no deadline, so you can really do this at any time. But you have to have worked for the company for 1 out of the last 3 years. So sometimes that is the downside if you have a brand new company. So you can stay for 3 years initially, and then 2 more extensions, so a maximum of 7 years. And then again, there's no cap and no deadline. And then that can be for somebody to come and open the branch, or if you have particular specialty skills, and you're somebody really essential to the company, then you would come out under those circumstances. We also have the J1 visa, which is something that we use oftentimes if we're not able to find another suitable visa. And this is more like a paid internship. And in this case, you would be paying a company to be your sponsor. And there's no cap, no deadline, but the salary would be a little bit less than it would be under other types of jobs. And then depending on the type of field, you may have to go back to your home country for 2 years before adjusting to a different status, and that is to prevent the brain drain, really, so that not all the best people from their home country are going to be leaving the country. So now I want to talk more about the investor visa. This is something that is really great for entrepreneurs. If you have about $100,000 or more to invest in your new business, what we do is establish that as soon as you're approved with the visa, you're ready to open the door on your business. So if it's just something that is prospective and you're going to do it, that's not really going to get you the visa. So as I said, the order of my presentation is in complexity. So the E2 is a little bit more complex, but it does have better benefits. So you do have to show that you're not coming here to move here permanently, but that you would go back to your home country when you're done with the business. But if it is viable, you can renew it indefinitely. I have a client who has a liquor company and he's been here for 25 years and he's just been renewing it indefinitely. So what you would have to do is invest a, quote, substantial amount of capital in a U.S. entity. Usually that's around 100 to 250,000, and 50% of the owners have to be from your home country. So, in terms of it being a substantial amount of capital, that's really important. It has to be your own money. So a lot of times startups will get, maybe they'll put in 75,000 themselves and they'll get 400 or more from another investor, and that may change it and mess that up a little bit. So we try to have it be your own money. And then the most important part of this application would be your business plan. And we can't have it just be hopes and dreams. It has to be that you put your money at risk. So that means you've signed contracts, you have a lease, maybe you spend money on marketing, inventory, and so that when you get that approval, you're ready to go. Now this can be available for 1 to 5 years to start, and then as long as you have to renew it at the end of the period, and as long as the business is still viable, you can keep renewing that indefinitely. So this is really a great visa. In addition, it can take about 60 to 90 days for it to go through. So this is one of the fastest paths to a green card. So as I mentioned before, the H-1B, we would apply April 1st, and the soonest you could work would be October. So that is a period of time you have to wait. Where with the E2, this is something that you could get much quicker. Another thing to note about the E2 that wouldn't apply to people in the UK is that you have to be a member of a treaty country. So if you are a citizen of Brazil, Russia, India, they're not eligible. So sometimes we have to look and see if you have dual citizenship or if you have parents from a treaty country. Another option would be the E1 treaty trader visa. And so in this case, if you weren't able to be sponsored for the E2, but you do a lot of trade with the US, this is another option for the business owner. And again, 50% has to be from your home country. So in terms of substantial trade, there's no official number, but usually that's about 200,000 to 500,000 of trade, and it has to be frequent and substantial. And again, you have to be from a treaty nation. But this will apply to services, technology, tourism, banking, insurance. So that really is open to a lot of industries. So if you find that over 50% of your trade is with the US and it's continuous, then this might be a good visa for you, and you can come back and forth to the US and your home country. And our last option is the EB5, and that's called the $1 Million Investor Visa. And for those of you that have $500 to $1 million to invest, you can actually get a green card. And so that's why this is so popular. So you would do either 500,000 in a targeted area of employment, which would be like a rural area or someone area that's below the poverty line. Or if you could put that in a regional center, you can do that for 500,000, and that would be in big projects like hotels. They pool a lot of the money together to put together, and this is a very popular visa for people from China. But if you did have your own business here and you had about $1 million to invest and you wanted to do it directly, then you can do the EB-5. It is a little bit more expensive. It's about $70,000 just in fees, and that would be for immigration attorney, securities attorney, sometimes marketing fees. So it is substantial, but you can get it in about 2 years. If you create 10 direct jobs in the United States, then you get a conditional visa for 2 years. And then after that, if the business is still successful, you can get the green card. And there is a limit here, about 10,000 visas per year. So, yeah, so that's about all the brief overview. And if any of you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them now, or you can email me as well.
Let's try and deal with the questions now if we can.
Sure.
So, look, Ollie, you're there, Quinn is there, Rory is there. Guys, what do you want from this? Do you have specific? Because I don't want to go past the attorney part without actually quitting. So just hit us with what you need.
I've just got some general questions, I suppose, really about expansion to the US.
Okay. Anything on the legal side? Hit us with the general questions, and let's link it in, because I think we've had 30 minutes of us talking now. It'd be good to have some back and forth.
All right, yeah, I'll go. I guess I've got one from Chris, actually. Can you explain to us what the general benefits of incorporating a new company in the US versus the UK?
I can't cope with this thing anymore.
Is this for me? Okay.
Yes, sure, take it.
Sure. Okay. So sometimes one important thing to note would be a lot of times if you want investment from U.S. dollars, a U.S. investor is going to want to see a U.S. corporation. And one of the reasons for that is their currency is always changing all the time. So they want to make sure that they're not going to be worried about that volatility. Also from a tax standpoint, and you're going to, usually if you're going to do a business that can be anywhere in the U.S., you want to have a Delaware corporation. And that way you can do this anywhere in the U.S. But if you are going to say come to California and you know you're going to do business here and only here, it would make sense to do it in California, because you're going to have to pay twice. You'd have to pay to do it in another state like Delaware, and then you would have to pay again all the fees to do it here in California. So I always recommend, before you choose what state you're in, to work with CPA and an attorney and talk about what your goals are, and then we work backwards and figure out what works best for you. But also deciding whether to do a branch or a subsidiary in the U.S. would determine, that's going to have to do with whether the parent wants to be liable for the U.S. branch. In that case, you would want to have a subsidiary, and that would be to protect you and to separate those two tax-wise and liability.
Okay, just quick follow-up question from that then, I guess. Then how come some US companies will then like incorporate in the UK as well, like Apple UK Limited? I guess tax purposes, maybe?
Yeah, partially tax and liability, and then maybe you would want to get different, sometimes there are tax incentives in local areas as well, so the different things to consider.
Okay.
What else have you got, Ollie?
I guess potential challenges with expansion into the US, just general challenges that one might face.
I'll happily take this one. So I've lived in the UK for 5-6 years, and lived over in Richmond. Know the UK really, really well. I've lived in many different places there and understand the market really well. Hey, by the way, just for Kirill, I don't know if you can even do this at your end, but you might just want to mute everybody else. It's probably kind of hard.
Yes, I hear background noise from someone. Can you hear me, Brian?
Yeah, I can, yeah.
Yeah, I hear background noise and I'm trying to figure out from whom
We'll
it's coming
find
from.
them.
So,
We'll find you. There you
yes.
go. You
Yes.
got nice and quiet. It's good. I just want to make sure Ollie can hear the response back. So thanks
Mhm.
to whoever just put us on mute. So yeah, let me answer it back, Ollie. I've lived in the UK not only for about 6-7 years, but also in about 35 countries. And from my perspective, from an Irish guy who's lived around and doesn't really have any vested interest in one place or another, I can tell you that the US dwarfs everywhere else by a multitude of numbers that I can't even speak. The money that's here, the venture capital money that's here, the actual market of 300. It's indescribable. And if you look at the largest companies in the world and where they start, they're still in the US. You look at where the money is being invested, it's still in the US. You look at Uber having another $1 billion invested in their company, never mind actually what the company is worth. You look at all of the large acquisitions, the majority of the good ones start in the US. It's just way more difficult. I mean, whatever we decide to call the roundabouts in our cities, it's way more difficult in the UK to just become either a $1 billion company or $100 million company without funding outside. So for me, the access to here is huge. You do need to be very smart though. So rather than just coming in straight away, rather than just opening up an office, spending money, putting yourself here, you can do it in a very smart way. You can do virtual marketing. You can start to build up a presence here. You can test different markets virtually. And you can make sure and you can get access to marketing companies and a bunch of other people. But I don't really see it as is it worth going into the US or is it not? I think it's a no-brainer for any English-speaking country to want to be in the US. The only question is, how do we make sure we get into the US without having huge liability if we have to leave?
Okay, awesome.
Okay. Any other questions, Rory? Have you got anything you wanted to hit us with?
Yeah, there was something specific actually in terms of the E1 to the trader investor for Jennifer. Sorry, I don't know if you got the start of that. It was just something specific for Jennifer regarding the E1 treaty trader visa. I think you mentioned for the L1 you needed to be open, or the company needed to be open for 3 years. Is there a similar, or are there similar circumstances for the E1 visa? So I know, substantial trade needs to be occurring with the US, but is there sort of a time period that your company needs to have been open for before that visa is eligible?
Not the same amount of requirement, but in order to show that you've been having substantial trade, you would have to be around enough to actually do that and to say that 50% by volume of your trade is with the United States. So if it's about $200,000 to $500,000, you're going to have to be around long enough for that to occur. But it's not the same strict requirement as the L1.
Sure, and does that work for service businesses? So for example, take a digital agency, for example.
Yes, if you're doing services for customers in the US, yes.
Great. That's very helpful. Thank you very much.
What else, Rory? Any other questions?
Maybe tax breaks, liability, that kind of thing. I think in the US, from a colleague at work, basically, but apparently you can only earn a certain percentage of the company unless you're a charity, I think. Is that correct?
You lead that. I got some thoughts on it, but I'll let you lead it. I don't quite agree, but I'll let you lead it. Jennifer?
What was the question?
Oh, the question was, if you come to the US, you get tax breaks. And Ali has a feeling that you can't own a large percentage of the company as a non-resident.
Okay, so in order to do an S corporation, you will have to have somebody who is at least a legal permanent resident, but you can still do a C corporation or an LLC. And in terms of tax breaks, that's going to be locally. So if you want to go to Silicon Valley, where everybody wants to go, the tax breaks are not going to be as attractive as they might be somewhere like New Orleans, where they do have some tax breaks, and they're trying to, take business from California, and they have film industry there. Other businesses are going to the southeast. So I do have a blog on my website about all the different tax incentives in California, but that's something that you can easily Google. There's always articles about that, and I would first figure out where is your market, where do you want to go, and then research different tax incentives and see if that will influence exactly where you would open the business.
Yeah, I got something just to add, Ollie. I'm a big believer in following the money and making sure that you can get traction and then building up a business that everybody wants to fund you or invest into, as opposed to, knocking on the doors, which everybody normally ends up doing. If you start following the tax-free places, you generally end up causing yourself long-term problems. Firstly, the reason they're tax-free is because nobody wants to go there. And look, Miami is a cool state, but how much business? Kirilla's going to say, "Hang on a second, we're based in Miami." But how many VCs are there in Miami? There's not that many. Like, how much institutional investment is there in Miami? There's not that many. Delaware are exactly the same. It's a phenomenal place to set up a company if you're here and you're looking for tax breaks. But if you're looking to develop your company for $100 million worth of VC funding, really, what's the point? Vegas, exactly the same. Another tax break city. There's a bunch of those states. My personal feeling on it, I don't want to say advice because it's specific for company after company, but my specific feeling is, if you have a company that you want to turn into $100 million or $1 billion company, then you follow the route to turn it into $100 million or $1 billion company. If you have to go to a place like California where the tax is actually pretty high and you have to pay state tax and you have to pay federal tax as well, then look, it's a small price to pay for a period of time to put yourself into a position where you're actually in the right place. And my final point on this is, don't think that you can register in Delaware and then work out of California. If you do that, it's illegal. You have to, if you're actually in the place that you're in, you have to pay that state's tax that you're actually working in. You can register outside, but you have to pay the state tax that you're inside. So I think it's good to look at all these things, but really find the people who can help you grow your business to the level it can grow to, and then just make it tremendously successful. And actually, I don't know, McKenna, do we have you on? I know McKenna was trying to get on earlier on. McKenna's on, awesome. Hey, Kirill, would you mind doing me a favor? Could you mute everybody else and just let McKenna give us 15 or 20 minutes on venture funding?
Here's the problem, but because you guys both the same place, your microphones anyway catching each other's sound. I mean, it's Brian, McKenna, and Jennifer. Okay.
Oh, well, I'm on mute when Jennifer's off. But if you just mute all of us, McKenna can talk.
Yes.
She's good. Everything's muted.
Okay.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
So about funding, there's kind of one thing that people fundamentally forget about a little bit. VCs are giving you money, and that's great, but we're giving it to you on the idea and the hope and the premise that you're going to go and do responsible, appropriate adult things and go do them. But we have a long history of just because people say they're going to do things or are supposed to do things doesn't mean they actually do them. So if I'm trusting you with $10 million, I have an infinite preference that you're close enough to me that I can wander by your office and say, hey, are you guys actually working on things versus, throwing parties 6 days a week and getting drunk and smoking pot, which happens a ton, and so you can see why we as an institution have such a significant preference as to your location. Because if I have 15, 20 companies I'm investing in, I need to know what all of them are. I want to be close enough to be a resource to you, which is enough to be accessible to me. So that's why you tend to see minimal investing, especially out of the country, because there's a level of trust where I have no idea what you're doing. And that's really hard to go justify to my LPs and the people who I'm spending their money. $10 million, and I let them have it in another country, and I think they're doing I think they're working,
but I have no way of knowing. Does that kind of make sense to everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You are all on mute.
Let's unmute them.
Here they are.
Okay, guys, we are muted here. All.
Yeah, sure. That's generally that would be amazing.
That is fine.
So, who would, huh?
All right, you guys can go ahead and ask your questions. Y'all have been unmuted.
If not, again, just
Whoa, who would like to proceed?
Context? Any context? Any specific kind of contextual questions?
I guess it would be just useful to understand if VCs take a sort of different perspective when they're investing in foreign entrepreneurs.
Kevin, don't mute anyone.
I'm not. I'm starting them.
She cannot speak, you see. Hello? Nectar, are you doing something behind the scenes? Because we have everyone unmuted.
Miss Walsh, you should be able to speak now.
I can speak. I'm asking a question and no one's responding to me.
No, they just asked it. That.
Right.
Rory, could you repeat your question?
Yes, please.
For her, please.
Yes, please.
Sure. I was just wondering, from a VC's perspective, do you, I guess, view your investments differently for foreign entrepreneurs, or do you sort of view them on par with American-based, American resident?
If he asked a question, I could.
Okay, and maybe your connection. Let me go ahead and see here.
It doesn't matter for now. Guys, you can actually post. Okay, this is the question. This is the question that's it's mostly about immigration or both.
Do we look at U.S. entrepreneurs in the same way as foreign entrepreneurs?
So, who would like to answer? Jennifer?
That question should be answered by a lawyer.
Okay.
She already did the question. So I believe the question was whether U.S. investors view foreign entrepreneurs any differently. So if McKenna has a response to that, I'll let her go. Otherwise, I'll take this immigration question. Yes. To already have visas or here legally have permission to work, that's not a bad thing.
Well,
internet.
I think it's her internet connection. Hello, McKenna.
Okay, let me bring Brian. Dustin.
Okay, so look, let me answer the question for you.
Okay, McKenna's got a poor connection. So look, yeah, so yes, do they look at it differently? Absolutely. And here's what's happened over the last 6 months or so. You've seen a lot of investors actually start to put a presence over in the UK. So Techstars have gone over there, a number of other ones. It was interesting. What McKenna prefaced with at the very start is that there's when you look at an institutional investment here, it's still a very old-fashioned industry. The PowerPoint decks are still in paper. They still get sent to them. They still read them. They still print them off. They still take them home. And when it talks about the actual inherent trust of a startup and how a startup's working, it's never really been there, and it's not really there now. So an institutional investor will always look to make sure that they can be as close as they possibly can to startups, unless they massively trust the entrepreneur who they're investing in. And this is why they've started to put a presence over in the UK. So Rory, I don't know if your question is, is it the same principle if the company is based in the UK or if they're a new resident in the US. I'm guessing it's based in the UK, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so based in the UK, very, very, very hard, if not impossible, to get money from venture funding. Let me give you some based over here, I mean. So the ones based in the UK, you can get it, but I mean, they fund few and far between. Let me give you a very, very interesting statistic on venture funding, which goes against a lot of what you read in the press and online. Only 0.2% of all funding that's done for tech companies in the US is actually venture-based funding. Kind of interesting, right? 0.2, virtually nothing. Some of the biggest funders that I know are investing in about one company a month. So even if you take the large angel funds over here, and they invest very much like venture funds, like Tech Coast Angels or Pasadena Angels, they do one deal a month. One deal a month. And that's with about 30,000 new tech companies starting every single month. They do one deal a month. So your next question may be, well, where does the funding come from? And I can tell you, coming through our accelerator, coming through our growth engine, and also everything that I see around here locally, is the vast majority of all funding is coming through from individual accredited investors who have a vested interest in making sure that they either get their money back or there's an emotional touch. And I will also say on the next question too, how do we find these people? It's actually not as difficult as you might think, because 99% of the people who actually go after these institutional investors or these accredited investors, they do the same thing. They send an email out to 100 people, and then they send another email, and then they send a tweet, and then they send a LinkedIn invite, and it's all very generic, and none of it's based on the individual emotional feelings of those people. So if you are looking for an investment house here, I suggest you do three things. You look up all of the incubators and all of the accelerators that are based over here, are based in your own country. I would say you find out all of the companies that have gone through those accelerators. You look for what the success matrix were, what ones they did very well with, what ones they did very bad with. Don't even waste your time going to the ones that you fit a long way down on the points level. And the second thing that I would do is I would look for all the venture funds that have an office over in the UK. If they don't have an office in the UK and you have not exited as an entrepreneur, the chances of you getting funded is pretty much next to zero. And by the way, the same is the case over here. If you are not a CTO who's exited the company, if you are not a CEO who's been in the tech industry before, if you haven't been to an Ivy League school, and I would go that far, your chances of getting funded by a VC for a couple of $1 million are pretty much close to zero. And if you go through the top 10 or 15 firms in San Francisco, it bears this out. Everybody's a friend of a friend or a son of a VC or a relation of somebody else, the vast majority. And then the third area that you have to look at is the one where I'm kind of focusing on here. And these are the accredited investors. These are wealthy people who are either realizing that the stock exchange is not giving a return that they want, or they want to get more involved in the world. So I'll give you a really good example. I have one client here who has a product that nobody would have ever funded, not a bank, not a VC, no one. And he went out, not just to his LinkedIn network, but he went out to every single person that he had touched over the last 15 years. And he sent an email to every single one of them that said, I am developing something that's going to stop obesity in kids, that it's going to reduce diabetes to a level that will change the world, that's going to deal with a $40 billion waste industry. But I can't do this without your help. But if you help me, then this is the kind of return that we expect to get from it. And he found a doctor whose two brothers had died over the last 5 or 10 years. The guy was crazy wealthy. He had a bunch of cash. And he was looking to try and see if he could invest in something that was going to be part of the creation in his life. So he gave him a check for $12,000 immediately. He's now on, I think, his 15th or his 10th check for the same amount of money. And he's going to keep throwing money at it. And actually, interestingly, for the same person, he touched a chap who is a Chinese guy who turned out was one of the biggest VCs over in China, who's looking for distribution of the product over in China, wants a 30 or 40% stake of the company. But you know what? If he breaks into China and sells a couple of hundreds of millions of product that he has, who cares? So really, really use the accredited investor industry, use the people who have got money, and it doesn't have to be your mom or your dad or even your mom's and your dad's friends, but they should be people who have an emotional or a financial tie to whatever you're doing. So if you're doing something for spinal injury, then find everybody who has been involved in any way in spinal injury. Down syndrome, the same. Obesity, the same. Education, the same. Find someone who didn't get educated as a kid and feels they want to do it. They're the people who are the most likely to get involved. And it helps you change the rules of what's currently out there and then adapt your own rules so that you can create something that's really powerful. Something that's happening over here, which is also interesting on the back of that, is the advent of equity crowdfunding. Now, I'm going to explain to you on the funding process. It's what we do as well. McKenna's wonderful, and I love McKenna, and you should look her up on LinkedIn and link in with her, and she'll help you on any number of levels. But we also deal with it here every day as well. So I'm going to take up where her connection left off. On equity crowdfunding, again, I'm not sure how big it is over in the UK, but what's happened is previously you could only invest in a company if you were an accredited investor. An accredited investor means you got $1 million in cash, or you earn over $200,000 a year after your expenses are done. So it's a relatively small segment of the population over here. And a law was passed recently, which allowed equity crowdfunding to become available for our grannies. So there are restrictions that come into it, but it does mean that people who've got $5, $10, $15, $20,000 can invest. And on one side of it, it's a little bit scary. Actually, I have seen a bunch of this over in the UK too. But on one side of it, it's a little bit scary because you do have kind of Wolf of Wall Street possibilities with it. But on the other side, it means that people can now invest in our companies. So you go way beyond. I have a client who had 14 of her friends give her a bunch of money, or 20 of her friends give her a bunch of money. I've had other clients who've just literally gone to places where they know that there's a lot of people who are in investment clubs and those types of areas. It does become a bit of a full-time job, but I also don't believe it's ever been easier to get people to invest in your business. Just hit me. 90% of the startups want the app in beta mode or completely finished. What's the point of that? I think you mean 90% of the investors, and that's not true. Investors, 90% of institutional investors, and it's not 90%, 100% wanted to be in startup mode. I have to say, look, I'm going to answer that point in two places from Leo Force. The first is, I personally believe this whole thing was way too wishy-washy 5 years ago. Anybody with a half idea on the back of a handkerchief who's saying we can build this and we're going to change the world and become a new Facebook was coming up with ideas that were getting funded, and it was clouding the water. And none of these companies did become the next Facebook. The same Facebook is still here that was here 5 or 10 years ago. And most of these other companies either failed. By the way, the rate of failure here in LA is no different than the UK. It's about 90 to 98%. Or they ended up not having a good product fit, so they just petered out after about 3 or 4 years. So my personal feeling is I would never start a business that I can't take it to a proof of life. I wouldn't, personally. The people that we bring in here, some people don't have the money, so it's okay, it's cool. You need to do some stuff. But that doesn't mean you need to spend 150 grand getting an app built. It means you need to build something where you can show, and I don't like to call it a minimum viable product. I like to say minimum viable problem. So I want to see that you've solved a minimum viable problem, and that's just me. That's just me saying, for God's sake, have a bit of skin in the game. Show that you believe in this, that you really want to do it. Work in friggin' Uber for an extra 6 months. Save some money. Build the app while you're trying to do it. Like, show that you have the tenacity to actually make it through this thing. It's not easy. And the 3 or 5 years that you're going to spend building up, you want to make sure that you're prepared to try and do it. So look, on my personal feeling side, I actually agree with that. I think, you know, we went into a crazy world before. We're no longer in that world. And people are saying, you want my hard-earned cash? Then if you want my cash, show me that you got something to play for. Now, that's just me. It's just my opinion. On the institutional investors, the venture side of it, they agree, obviously, which is why you said it in the first place. But when it comes to angel investors, that is not the case. Angel investors don't know what a beta is. They don't know even what a founder is, a lot of them. A lot of these people have got an idea, sometimes an ideal. So if what you're doing has got the ability to change something that is broken in the world, and most apps don't. Most apps are, it's social media for dating people who've got accents in the southwest corner of Richmond for people who've got blonde hair. Like so they don't. And I'm not being disparaging about anybody on this phone. Look, I've had shitty companies before. Everybody else will have them in the same time. I'm just saying to build one of those things is not necessarily going to move an angel in a way. But if you have a real groundbreaking idea, actually, let me explain this better with an example. I have a client who, you guys probably don't know the US healthcare system, but it's a bit of a mess and it's incredibly expensive. And on a general level, if you're going to get any kind of operation or any procedure done, it's going to cost you, let's say, $2,000 for something very small. And of that $2,000, if you're employed by someone, you will pay normally what's called a deductible or an out-of-pocket, which is what the Joe Schmo pays, which is me, like the employee, what I pay, of about $700 or $800. And then the insurance company will pay the rest of it, which is about $1,300. But what nobody knows is that there's a maximum government price. And that maximum government recommended price is normally around $600-700. So it's actually less expensive to pay a cash price than it is to go through the entire insurance thing. And about 30 or 40% of doctors will accept that price. So we have a real problem and a real solution. The only thing you have to be able to do is get your hands on those cash prices, which most people can't get their hands on. So I got a client who's got his hands on all these cash prices. He has unbelievable links into the healthcare community, and he's now going to become a price line for this thing. Is it a huge problem that needs to be fixed? Yeah. Is a massive angel investor going to say, oh, I don't know, I think you should get an MVP done to try and make sure that you've got that fixed? No, they don't care. It's a huge problem. It's a huge solution. The guy's got an angle, and he's able to build it quick. Enable him to build it quick. And he picked up 500 grand in 2 phone calls. And he could pick up another 500 grand in 3 more phone calls. Why? Because it's not another Pinterest for Uber drivers. Just make something friggin' real. That's it. Sorry. I get a little bit carried away with this. But only because I don't like seeing startups fail. And I see them fail all the time. Because they just build stuff that's not that necessary, and then we complain because people don't fund it. Okay, hit me with anything else. I wanted to do kind of an hour of me ranting on about stuff and these wonderful people here doing the same thing, so you had all of the information. What have we missed? We've covered a bit on marketing. Jennifer's covered a bunch on legal. We've covered business development over here. We've also covered, and by the way, sorry, just on business development, let me. I'll tell you a couple of the reasons why we suggest a few of the things we do. And as a company, we could be right or wrong. Who knows? Like, we all have our individual opinion on this, but we do strongly believe and think like a startup and act like a corporation. We don't really follow the lean startup practices a lot in what we do. Most of it is, if we become really strong, then people will use us. That's all. And when I say us, I mean startups as a whole. So everything we do is focusing on startups to get there. And that means that tactics such as mail order CTOs are trying to form a partnership over a weekend in a hackathon. I'm not crazy about it. I understand it happens. I understand sometimes you don't have a choice, but I'm not crazy about it. I much prefer to see things being done gradually. I do feel, however, if you have an app or you have a service that is perfect for England, let's say it's that healthcare app that I just gave that example, it's not going to work in the UK because the NHS, I mean, for what you guys think, come over to the US. The NHS is pretty good. I'd go back there in a second. But it's not going to work in the UK. But in the US, it's an amazingly strong idea that can work really well. So it's worth looking out to try and find partners in the US that you can work with. And they can be equity partners, they can be non-equity partners. You can do it any way you want. I mean, there are very inexpensive ways to tip your toe into the pond rather than jump in straight away. And you can look on websites over here, cofounderslab.com are pretty good. There's a bunch of other ones that you can go through just to try and get your feet in the water, see what it's like, play with the local area. You don't have to spend a bunch of money on marketing, but you can certainly work your way into it and start getting a feel for how it works. I know one guy in the UK, he comes over here every 3 months. I don't know what visa he comes over on, but he comes over here, he does a bunch of talks over in the co-working spaces. He growth hacks his way into the market, and I'm sure once he reaches a stage where he's got some clients over here, he'll probably come and build his office here too. So you could do it. But yeah, so that's kind of how we work over here. We're just based over here. We're a resource for this wonderful organization that you're with over there for anything you need here. We promise to answer any questions and anything you need. But is there anything we haven't covered on this webinar? Stroke live stream. First. Either Leo for us, or David, or Rory, or anyone else who's maybe hasn't logged in and you want to do it. If not, and you're all good, then I'm going to thank Jennifer and thank everybody else for being on it and hope that we've done a good job. But I would love to get a bit of feedback from you before we finish it. Don't be shy. Ollie. Is it Leo?
Oh, someone interrupted.
Okay. Leo's. I want to clarify a point on which states to enter. Is that from you, Jennifer, or for you?
From Jennifer.
So I just wanted to touch base on that since we were talking about Delaware and California before. Just so you know, Delaware is not really a state where people go to live. They use it because it is friendly towards businesses, and it has a long history of corporate case law. So the U.S., our legal system is similar to yours in that we use case law and statutes. So that's why people use Delaware, and because of that, investors want to see you in a C corporation. So if you are going to be actually having your primary place of business in another state, you will be, it wouldn't be illegal for you to go there, but you have to register in both. So you will have to pay, if you came to California, an annual franchise tax board fee of $800 here, plus you'd register here. So you can do it in more than one place. It's just going to depend on where you're doing business. And then I just also wanted to clarify, if you're coming to the States on either a visa waiver, which would be for people from the UK, or a business visa, you can come here, you can sign contracts, you can have speaking engagements, you can that you can earn an income. So that's why it's really a temporary solution. So you can come here and get everything figured out. But then once you do know that, you're going to want to seek something more permanent. And then to answer the question that came up before, if you're acquired and now you become an employee, then you're going to want to do one of the employment visas, which I mentioned before, like an H-1B, possibly even a transfer visa.
Excellent. What do you got for us, guys? Rory, what do you need? Leo, it's very nice of you to offer equity for your company for introductions. Keep that equity, buddy. Don't give that stuff away. You know how much most founders have got less than 10% of their company left by the time they finish. Let me give you another statistic. 60% of founders are fired within the first year and a half of getting venture funding. I don't mean being acquired. I mean, you're fired within the first year and a half of venture funding. Just be careful with this stuff. Hang on to your equity. Don't give your equity away quickly to people. Sometimes you don't have a choice, and sometimes I understand that, it's the only currency that you have, so you start playing with it. But you're the one who's got to go through blood, sweat, and tears to build this company. You're the one who's going to be working 16, 18 hours a day. And it would be a bit of a shame that by the time you sell your company for 40 million, that you end up getting 3 or 4 million of it, which after tax is worth $1.5 million, which over a 5-year period is like 200 grand a year, which means that you've just taken a risk with a 2% possibility of success for 200 grand a year. Like, you're better off getting a job. Just be careful. Be careful. Just, you're just, this is a really, like, startups don't understand this, and I don't want to, definitely don't want to make this a VC bashing call, but I do want to say just so careful. I can count on one hand the amount of startups that I know who have gone into business, started it, funded it, put it together themselves, and they can retire with the amount of money that they actually took from it. But I do know other startups, like you've probably seen WeWork over there, right? WeWork, I like the Regis in the UK. They took on executive suites. They made it very cool, and startups like going there. Their valuation is massively overpriced. It will never stay at where it is. But they're the smartest guys in the world because it's not overpriced because of, yeah, fair enough. It's not overpriced for, I'm going to come back to you on that, Leo, in a second. They're not overpriced because the market thought they're overpriced. They're overpriced because they are so damn smart in how they built their business. Both of them still have, it's now valued at $10 billion. The two founders already have $2 billion each still in the company because they gave hardly any equity away. They chose their investors so incredibly carefully that when they took in Mark Zuckerberg, it increased their valuation by $5 billion. You just choose, I'll give you an example. Like, so Leo, let me give you two examples from our side. The first one is us personally, as a company. We never raised any money to build what we built here. And we're in a beautiful space on the top of the Santa Monica Mall, right beside the beach, and we work with startups. We focused everything that we had on making sure that we turned into a revenue generation machine. And we have been that pretty much from the first couple of months. So we made sure there was a very strong product fit. At the very beginning, nobody really came to us for funding because they believed that what we were trying to create from nothing, not bringing it from a venture background, was impossible. Now we get approached by an investor at least once a week. And once a week we say, thank you very much, but you're not quite at the level of the people that we want to work with. And you want to put yourself in that place. You don't want to be the guy in the bar who's desperately looking for their partner at 2 o'clock in the morning and thinking somehow that you look good looking, because you don't. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. You should be in bed. The night's over. It's the same with VC. Put yourself into a place where you've got a great business plan, which really shows a massive product fit, and then build traction yourself. Do whatever the heck you have to do to build traction. There are resources you can speak to. There's a bunch of other people as well. Sometimes as well, just to build into that, if we look at what our business plan was 3 years ago, before we started, there wasn't really a product market fit. I mean, there kind of was, but there wasn't really. Where we've got up to today, we now never, ever even have to ask for people. We're oversubscribed on everything, but that's because we took great advice on changing our product fit. And the hardest thing an entrepreneur can do sometimes is to admit that the original product fit that they felt they had was wrong. And I'm not saying that's the case with you, but 3 years is a long time. And then to say, but it doesn't have to be wrong entirely. You don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Just look and see what is it that needs tweaking. And look at something small. Like for us, we saw ourselves as a massive mentorship community 3 years ago. And then one of the guys said, why would you do that? Mentorship is just a stop in the road. It's okay, but there's a million mentor sites that kind of do it semi-okay. Are you solving a huge problem? No, not really. What's the huge problem? The huge problem is entrepreneurs are failing at a rate never seen before. Let's hold their hand all the way through. And let's put a flag in the sand to say that if entrepreneurs succeed at a higher rate with us, then we rock. And if entrepreneurs succeed at a lower rate than us, then we suck. And that's it. Like, simple. Product fit. The proof's in the pudding, and then just go out and do it. And then, but also, it may be that you don't have, but just look at the product fit. Look at where you are. 9 times out of 10, you find that it's right in that area. And then do what I say about the angels. Literally look at every person everywhere. Reach out to 100 people a day that you don't know. And explain to those people why it's a good value proposition. But before you reach out to a single one of them, put yourself in their shoes and say, if I had 50 grand, would I risk it on this company? Would I risk it on this idea? Would I risk it on this person stroke this team? Would I risk it on the potential for it to be able to bring the change about that I want? And would I risk it on the profitability that I can bring in? Good point, though. You're in good company with everybody else. Anybody else?
Yeah, I've got a question based on what you're saying there. You talked about becoming a revenue generating machine. Would you, I guess, prioritize focusing on revenue generation or generating investment?
Okay, so again, my opinion is very contrary to, well, it's funny. My opinion is less contrary every day to Silicon Beach, but 3 years ago it would have been massively contrary to it. Like 3 years ago, Silicon Beach would have said, build your product, get your MVP, or maybe even 5 years ago, get your MVP out, and then, you know, go and see investors and explain to them why you do it, because you need to get very quick traction and then do it. But a couple of things have happened since then. Firstly, so much crap has come through that they're now incredibly wary of any app for anything. And everything seems to be the Uber of this, the Pinterest of that, the Instagram of the other. And so they're very wary. The second thing that's happened is our traditional marketing sources have dried up. So it was simple before. You would build an app, you would have it ready, you would go onto Facebook, you'd go onto Google AdWords, you'd go into a couple of other places, you'd buy your market would stay loyal, and then you'd keep it. But now that doesn't happen. Now most of us have got 7 to 10 apps on our phone. That's it. And 5 of those apps are taken up with Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, and Instagram, or a variety of those. Another 2 are taken up with what's now become things that we can't do without. So either Uber or Lyft, or maybe a restaurant app, or 1 or 2 other ones as well. So we're all competing for about 3 apps on every person's phone in the world. You've got no chance. It's too hard to do it. The return on Facebook has become negative. The return on Google AdWords has become negative. And I'm not an expert in this area. They're not my expertise. We bring people in for this. I'm almost like how I was with Jennifer there. I'm a dangerous amateur in that I see what happens every day and what people are really getting hurt at. But I do feel that if you focus on the revenue, and from our perspective, we had a tiny membership here, which we thought would be a nice subscription model. And then we had a very, very strong business growth engine where we took entrepreneurs in, charged a fee, which is a very fair fee, like $1,500 a month, and said, we'll take on your ownership, your metrics, and everything else. 5 years ago, we would have focused on the $100 a month, created a subscription basis, worked with us. These days, we focus on the $1,500, $3,000, $5,000, $7,000 that entrepreneurs pay to be successful, and then we stand beside the successes they do. Why? Because you need to generate the revenue for the best possible product you have, not the simplest one to get people in with. So yeah, I would personally say, don't mess around just going after investors and looking like the most desperate guy in the room. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't ask. Walk into events and say, there's a company here called Vitamin. Jason alluded to them earlier on today. I'm not recommending them by this or anything. I just want to give them as a good example. They were a startup here locally. They built in an automated algorithm where you could get follows for Twitter, which I personally think is a waste of time. But there you go. I've just unsaid you should use them. But they had this algorithm. People liked it. They charged $1,000 a month, and they got spam content out on the internet, and they meant that you could have a lot of people following you and just get you really engaged with your Twitter. But they would go to pitch competitions literally once a week. And they would walk in and they would say, hey, my name is such and such from Vitamin. In our first year, we did $500,000 worth of revenue. Would you like to know how we raised $500,000 worth of revenue in our first year and how we can make you $10 million in the next 2 years? That's their pitch. So how many competitions do you reckon they won? They won them all. More importantly, how many clients do you think they got from the pitch competitions? Because everybody's looking at it and saying, wow, you mean only $1,000 and I can get myself hooked up with these guys? So I personally love revenue. And I love revenue because it's the other side of value. And if nobody's paying anything for what you've got, then you're just an enthusiastic amateur. And there are some products where you don't quite have the luxury of being able to do what I say. It's just not possible. But show that value in a different way. Show the value in sponsors being interested with you. We immediately reached out to sponsors. We immediately had Microsoft as a sponsor. We immediately we spoke to IBM the other day, and IBM said to us, we love what you're doing. We would be humbled to be part of you. Kind of weird, and I'm sure they didn't quite mean it the way we heard it, but it's look at the other revenue streams to show that there's some value in what you're doing. And focus your time on those. Cool. Yeah, good. Ollie, you got anything, or Leo?
I can make a comment on that.
Okay.
I would just say it depends on the reason why you want to be an entrepreneur. I don't think everyone here listening to this wants to have the next Uber and make billions of dollars. Maybe some of you will, but the reality is that most of you won't. So if you are in a service-based business and it's something where you don't need all of this capital for R&D or for inventory, really think about what can I do to help support my family, support myself, pay my rent, and focus on that, how you can at least break even and then start making money. And then if you can be lean and have a side job or reduce your expenses, that's much better than just waiting around for some magical investor to come and then blaming your failure on that not happening. So really think about what's the point why I want to do this and what's the best way to be successful, whatever that definition is for you.
I entirely agree. I really do. Give me a $10 million a year business that I'm on the beach in the Bahamas rather than some jerk being my new boss just because they've got 70% of my company. Again, very personal, but I think also if you go for that, if you have that mentality when you start building your business, what will happen is people will come to you. People will come to you and they will say, I want to invest. It's a very different perspective than being the one who's continually begging for money because you need it to make it work. But Jennifer's right. You give me the choice today and you say, look, Expert Dojo could be in 50 countries and 50 places, leaving aside helping entrepreneurs, because that's why we exist, just based on a value of what the business is worth. No, I would take it. Give me a $10 million a year business any year. I can live on that. The people around me can live on that. It's okay. So yeah, great point. And actually that's where the failure rate only drops to about 20-30%. Sorry, the success rate is at 20-30%, while if you're hitting for outside the park all the time in the $1 billion business, then failure rate's about 98%. Cool. Okay. Anything else? We've got 2 or 3 minutes left or not. I think we've come nicely up to the moment. My details are, if anybody wants to reach out to us, it's Brian at expertdojo.com.
Brian, post something in DINtv. We will highlight it, please.
You got it. I'll do it.
Can I just say thank you to the NEF community for joining? I see some familiar faces on the pictures of participants and anyone else who's offline or that we can't see. Thank you for all of the experts from California who join us as well. Thank you very much. Thank you, Brian, for organizing.
Out there's all Facebook pages, whatever it may be. It could be
okay.
Perfect. Yeah. By the way, it's absolutely our pleasure. We've loved long. You should from this. Look, there's some really great synergies between these countries. There's some really good areas that we can help. Let us know just anything you want us to do in the future, and we're very happy to step in. I also want to thank DINtv. This platform is such a phenomenal platform. It gives that whole emotional feeling where I can see what Ollie looks like. I can see David. I can see Rory. I can see everybody who's there.
Thank you, Brian.
So it's very cool. So yes, share the
love. Yes.
Yeah. So share the love about these guys as well. Just if you like this, just Kirill, just put your Twitter tag up there as well, so people can give you a bit of Twitter love.
Yeah. Just a minute.
I got some love hearts, but I'm a bit worried about, that's actually not a good thing.
Time to drink.
I'm a 1, 2, 3, say. Okay. I'm just saying, okay. Listen, thank you all.
Thank you.
It's been great.
Thank you.
Love it.
Awesome.
And just keep going forward, man. This is a
Thank you very much.
journey. We all love it.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, guys.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.
Okay. Let's launch something.
Musical.
I have to pee so bad.
Let's take a look at what. Yes.
Bright above my There'll be a mostly fine end to the evening, but there will be a few wintry showers in the south.
Yes. dun, dun, dun. Kevin, did you stop lap? Did you stop lap? No? Ah, I don't know. We can put announce for Grammy, but from Pedro. Okay.
Hey, you guys on Blab. I hope you guys enjoyed our investor convention thingamajiggy. But definitely come check us out tonight. We're going to be hosting the Grammys with our other hosts, so hopefully you guys will enjoy that also.
Yeah, you're welcome. Actually, every
Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. to 11.
Can you hear me?
No.
Yes.
Oh, okay, great, great. So
I can hear you.
Okay, so
we have.
How do you think? How it was? How did it go? It's okay.
Actually, it went pretty good. I was good.
You know, from my end, only one thing that when I try to mute someone, that little teeny line that cross the microphone, it's so hard to see.
Yeah, we have to make it bigger.
We need to make it like bigger.
You know what was happening?
Different color, or if not possible, like
we can make it
red, and like 2 times, 3 times bigger. So I would see like at the first glance, because I need to like precisely take a look. It's hard.
Yeah.
And
like we started testing the new environment. So in like 2-3 days we will have the new version up running. I'm very excited for that.
Cool.
But is the interface going to look different, or is just
no the backend? We counted in total 3,720 lines of code.
So that's a good thing.
Oh,
yes,
amazing.
definitely. Okay. Did you see my outline mockups for?
Yes, it's very good. Thank you. Now I understand what you wanted. Yes.
Just let's make it. It just just outlines. So as you design it, up to you. But functionalities needs to be something like that.
That's what I wanted from you.
Yes.
And thank you for sending.
Okay.
But when you sent it last night, I was already in bed. That's why I didn't reply to you.
No, it's fine. Just that you receive it. Okay.
Okay. Are you feeling better today?
Yeah, I'm better.
You are.
I took like 5 liters of orange juice in 2 days.
Wow.
It works, honestly. Vitamin C does work. Like, if I feel myself getting
For
sick,
me,
I'll
it works
drink
on antibiotics already.
you need the hard stuff.
You
No, that's too much. That's extreme for me.
It's extreme.
know that I'm allergic
Yes,
to
it's only
medicine.
last resort. Yes.
I'm allergic to medicines and I wanted to avoid it. So
Of course. Of course,
And,
the later the better. In this.
Yes.
Yes, of course.
Yesterday I had 38, and today I have 36.8, so it's good.
Okay, I also updated pitch deck with the new numbers, if you've seen. So. Yeah.
It's very good. And Hara also updated the contacts.
I didn't check it.
Yes, he updated the contacts.
Okay, Brian sent me some. I closed it already. Some application.
Let's do the override, huh?
Yes. Let's do that, of course. Let's go to the regular news.
It will start in a bit. It will.
That's why my sister didn't go to school today. Today's President's Day.
Yes, there is no schools.
Oh, okay.
No banks.
No
No
ballots.
legal private companies they work, but government not. Of course.
Oh, the government never sleeps. They're always working.
I mean, that government that we only can see on the surface.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm worried about? These things that I'm seeing all the time, that you should, when you don't broadcast or something, when you don't use a camera, you have to always keep it something in front, because the government or other hackers can hack your camera and can see what's
Yeah, I
happening
know
all the time.
people. I know people who can actually turn on your iMac or MacBook camera without having the light.
Yes, it's possible.
Without the light coming on, so it'll be on. I've seen that. I've seen them do it in front of my eyes.
Just only one way, physically, just to overlap it by something like I don't know, stitch something.
Or get third party security wear from a torrent or something. That's what I do for my computer.
Just physical. No other way.
That's bad.
It's okay.
You make sure your Wi-Fi connection's good too. You can't have just what is it, WAP? WAP?
Yes.
It has to be more secure.
Guys, I have another question. Sorry for my. We have a Grammy today, and Pedro and Viam will going to speak about Grammys.
Okay.
So we need that live translation from about Grammys, but
with the Grammys they come on
I
a
send
public
you
channel.
I send you email. I don't remember the channel.
We should. I believe it's.
But if we're lucky enough, it should be on Xfinity as well.
Yeah, we'll be fine when it comes to that.
I'm not sure.
It's CBS. We'll be fine. We can live stream.
It's CBS.
CBS should be fine. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Sorry.
So now it's just to see if they're what they talk about. Hopefully they do something.
I will be at the start, and if you need something during the show, please contact me at any time.
Yes, but as we agreed, it will be the show that Pedro wants to do, and after that we focus only on political shows. If it debates or primaries, whatever it is, if Peter wants to to perform in a form as politics, as he called this, fine. Or if not, if he doesn't come up with this idea, okay, let's use it not like a politics as just regular debates or whatever it is. So, and I come up with 3 other formats for the daily show, and we actually may generate some revenues maybe from that. Let's see. We need to discuss it. But I think it should have some demand on the market, and more business to customers. So it should work.
You poor thing. What's wrong? He's crying out for help.
You're interested in Trump.
Anno's crying out for help. He's like, I'm a Trump supporter. Please help me get over this.
No, if you're Trump supporter, it's fine because
we love Trump. We love Trump.
He's our favorite.
No wiser words were ever spoken.
Yes.
Okay.
Say something, no? Okay.
Hello?
Yeah,
what's
we're
up?
hearing you.
Not much. What's going
How's
on?
life?
Good. What kind of show is this?
it's DINtv. We pretty much talk about the news with other people from all around the world and interact
Yes.
about the news. So you're talking
you-
about Trump. We'll
If you
have-
click on trending topics on the right top corner, you will see the trending
Someone's
topics.
at my door real quick, but I'll be back.
Okay,
I'll follow you guys.
it's
All right,
okay.
for sure.
Come back at any
All right.
time. Yeah. Okay.
I need to stand on Blab more often. Look at this, man.
Don't tell me about Blab. I just have a painness all the time.
Oh yeah.
When my phone literally overwhelmed with notification. This user went live on Blab.
You know what it
Another
is?
user went
It's
live
because
on
you
Blab.
use your phone to sign up for this. So because we follow so many people.
No. I'm not just complaining that I have a notification. I just really like shocked the amount of people who go in live there.
Yep.
Because the experience is so simple. Just need to click toot.
When you look at like our experience is very simple, but the way the interface looks, it looks complicated when you come in.
No,
I feel like I think we just need to change the color scheme, honestly, and change the logo.
no, of course we need to change a lot, but let's first of all have this function working. Let's call it Start Your DIN.
Start your DIN.
Yeah, we don't need to come up. Even we tried to. Okay, let's kill it. Otherwise, they will listen to us. Okay. So just by analogy, why we should create something like Start Your DIN. In this context, it should be understandable, should be clear.
So then we should mark it DIN as like DIN as like a
As what?
abrupt noise, so that like when somebody's dinning, they're making an impact. They're disrupting the flow of
It's a noun.
Mhm.
So we don't even.
But you have to have something. You have to come up with something, because then it's just like when we're asked the question, people are just like, okay, what is this? Like,
You
what is
click,
DIN?
you get on the page, and you will see everything. If you have questions, you see, you understand already. Okay, I'm going to post this. So just by analogy, we shouldn't create like the bicycle here. Just change it on a different way.
I think DIN needs like a home page.
This is the home page. We had the control room page where all live streams we expect, and maybe this page should be modified. Not maybe, definitely.
Yeah, maybe we should change that into something like.
Yes, because if we have, for instance, 10 scheduled shows, where those shows will be shown, there where they'll be displayed.
And if we're calling it DINtv, then.
But I'm not proposing to do this right now. It's for later, because it's just impossible. It's not so vital. But if you have 10 scheduled shows, you need to see them somewhere. You need to see the schedule, not on that page. I don't know. Let's discuss it, because this page becomes just like redundant.
Wasted bandwidth that we could be using.
Becomes outdated. So it actually, when you position this as like poor mass media, but because we combining both, let's see.
We need to get the shows down packed this week so that we can set up a schedule. Like
We will do this right now.
Because it's like it's just jumbled all over the place. Like 1 minute we're doing this, 1 minute we're doing that. I feel like it should
Kevin,
just be.
I also not happy with this, but believe me, we will. I hope we should. Okay. I took a screenshot all these conferences, so
Because I'm thinking if, because like any channel, any other TV channel, you have like different segments of things that happen.
yes.
So if we have an understanding of everybody's show, then we know how to place them on the schedule, and then we can have like a cohesive type of show where people have consistency, where they know on Tuesdays they'll come in and they'll get politics or any political debate that's happening. They can come into DINtv and know that there's going to be people talking about it. You get what I'm saying? Because right now it's just like one day notice we're doing this, one day.
It's chaotic now. Yes.
So we should definitely
We
get set up.
Yeah, we should fix this. Nobody needs chaotic. It just works against us. Yes, yes, yes. Yes.
If you would like, because I have some good ideas about the strategy, we can have a meeting like at 4. No, what time is it? The debate. 8 Grammys. It's at 8 Grammys, no?
Yeah. The Grammys are at 8 tonight, so
okay.
We can speak on Skype.
Yeah, we'll be here. We'll be here until then anyway.
Okay, let's. When I will go home, then I will ping you, and we can speak from there.
Yes, yes, of course.
Cool.
I have some good ideas that maybe will change completely the way that people are coming and people are staying.
Yeah, anything helps for sure. So I can't
Because
wait.
yes, my point is, okay, we have 205 like registered users, and we have like 23,000 users who came on DIN and didn't like log in. Okay, this is what our amount of users. So we need to have at least some of them to come back.
You have to look at the business model for YouTube and all those other people. It's all about consistency. Like with YouTube, if you're a new YouTuber and you're doing videos, you have to be doing that type of video all the time on the dates that it's being said.
Yes.
Here, it's like the user comes in and they'll pop in and out. Because you look at analytics, you see people come throughout the day. It's just like they'll pop in and then they're like, okay, there's nothing happening here, and leave.
Yes.
So we need to set up times where
we can also bridge that with the news that I'm having. I think that we can bridge it completely.
Also, we need to set goals like in a way where, okay, this week we need to at least push 1,000 users per day or like something like that. Because I feel like we don't have a number to give the hosts for them to want to build to that number. Do you get what I'm saying?
But you understand that the hosts in this moment cannot attract.
It's not their job. I just they cannot. Unfortunately, I would like. It would be
It's, and the fact, for example, now we had this session. The way that you were handling the DIN as moderators got me like 70% of the things that I'm doing most of the times when I'm visiting just to help people, because I see that they have problems and they don't know how to do it. This is a huge thing.
It's called it's something generic. It's ambition. If you want to, it's you have to want to learn like infrastructure to like get it. Like I know it because I go through it every day. Like I know I know the stats of the company because of like I go into the Google Analytics and see like, okay, this and that's happening. So people have to be proactive and do that so they get better. You have to want to get better, you know? All you have to do is just be entertaining. That's so easy. I do it every day. I do it 24/7.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
All right, we'll meet back later then.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye.